I thought I'd muse about the events that started with the killing of George Floyd by 4 white police officers in America. Now, of course, racism wasn't started by that event, but that incident has just highlighted again the real problem we have with racism in this world. In the UK, there's been many protests in various cities, and we're not immune to this in this country. It was in the 70s and I think maybe the 80s that we were still watching sitcoms that poked fun at black and Asian people. And I believe institutional racism is still quite common in our nation. The Archbishops of York and Canterbury released a statement last week, and amongst that statement they said this: let us be clear, racism is an affront to God. It is born out of ignorance and it must be eradicated. I often hear that racism is born out of ignorance and lack of education. But let's be clear. First and foremost, racism is sin. It is simply wrong. So let's name it for what it is. Ethnicity and race are sacred to a person because they are God-given. So any misuse, neglect, abuse because of ethnicity or race is first and foremost an affront to God and his sacred gift to a person. The Archbishops went on to say, we all bear the responsibility and must play our part to eliminate this scourge on humanity, which of course I agree with. But personally speaking, I feel so shallow at the thought of speaking out against racism. And I've been thinking about that, why that is. And I think it's because I don't really understand what it feels like to be abused or neglected or just treated differently because of the colour of my skin. I haven't walked in the shoes of those who have experienced that or who are currently experiencing that kind of abuse. So those of us who are in that position, who don't really understand what it's like, I believe our response should be twofold. Firstly, we should listen to those who are experiencing racism in their life, so we can better understand. And secondly, and probably more importantly, if we really want to change society, then I believe we have to give those people who have experienced or who are currently experiencing racism and kind of understand what it is to live in that. We have to give those people influence and authority in our society in order to change our society for the better. Whether that's in government or the arts or the sports world or in business, these people need to have positions of influence and responsibility. But first, let's name racism for what it is. It is sin. J. John coined a great phrase about the condition of humanity. He said, the heart of the human problem is the problem of the human heart. And I believe that is so true when it comes to racism. The heart of the problem of racism is the problem of the human heart. Amen.